What's up, guys? Today's behind the scene episode is all about our podcast. So Rachel and I have started a podcast, if you didn't know, and we're going to dive into all the behind the scenes work that goes into that, how we started the podcast, and where we are now.
You have one sleeve rolled up at one time.
This is my strong arm. Man, tough crowd. So we started the podcast because we really felt like we had a lot to say to our community, and we were doing it all in our Facebook group. We were writing these like long responses to a lot of the same questions over and over, and we really felt like we needed more of a discussion around some of the topics the women were asking in our Facebook group. We really couldn't cover it in like 2 paragraphs of a really great question, whether it was about supplements or starting to work out or looking at nutrition, just anything to do with like women's health and wellness. We really wanted to further the discussion, and we felt like we had an important message.
What direction did we want it to go in? The direction of like, don't look like an asshole every single time. Don't sound like an asshole. Don't say asshole things.
Don't say asshole.
Don't say asshole. I think what we really wanted to do was try to give like a real talk. You know what I mean? Like, I think what we really wanted to accomplish was to make sure that we could speak to our community in a way that like we felt comfortable, and that we could like just real talk them. No bullshit, no like, okay, you know, we're gonna beat around the bush. Like, we have this, you know, important message, and we really wanted to get it out there in a way that we could be real about it, I think.
So, funny story with when we started the podcast.
I don't think it's funny. It was like a lot of crying on my end.
Yes, that's true. When we started it up, I felt strongly that we needed to have a podcast and was really invested in it. For me, it was one of those things that were like, if you have a message, it's really important that you say it to the world. If you feel like you see some of these injustices happening all around you, like you need to speak up and you need to say something about it. I'm
gonna let you finish. I respect all that. I'm gonna let you finish. But the also fact of it is that I really wanted to keep my private life intact. I do not like hearing my own voice. I do not like being in a public setting. I do not like being on camera. And all of this, let's do a podcast, was just more being in the public eye. Tears from me. Tears over
you had
here.
like mixed tears because you were like, I'm not doing it, I'm not good at it, we're not gonna do it, and then we were like, fine, Rachel, we're not gonna do it, and you're like, well, all right. So there was this really mixed, and I think anyone who's ever done anything really brave and that they were nervous about feels that mixed feeling about it, because you think like, I know this is important and I know that it would be a great thing to do, but I don't want to because of my own insecurities and my own things that I have going on, because each one of us go through.
Yeah, you ever heard yourself on a recording?
It's real.
Imagine 40 minutes of that every week.
Oh man.
Sometimes I just...
Or ever seen yourself on camera when you're like, I'm having a great day, I'm like a rock star, my hair looks great, and then you see yourself on camera and you're like, ah! Oh, the shit!
Control! Or when you ever just try, just one day, just please, I have to be on camera today, just please let me have a good hair day. And you come out with this. This is why I did not want to do this, and why I cried numerous nights about it and said like, I just don't want to do a podcast. I don't want to be out there. But I think, like you said, like with anything where you have to be brave, you know, if it's worth doing, then you got to do it. people have said like, wow, this has really changed my life, having heard this perspective that I've never heard before from the diet industry and all this stuff. It's like, if it's gonna do that kind of good and change people's lives, then how are you gonna say no just because like your hair is crazy? I mean,
Yeah.
deal with it.
People have things and messages that they feel strongly about or that they could share with the world all the time, and they don't do it because these small things seem like small things. They seem huge in the moment, but are holding them back. And I feel like every time you do those, you're just becoming a better person. A lot of women have written to us, which is like a really cool, rewarding thing about having started the podcast is no matter what the topic is, women have like written things to us or posted in the group and said like, wow, you said this in some type of way at the perfect time that they were ready to hear or receive that message, and like it made sense for them, and it just like changed the way that they thought about something. And even now that the way they're going to interact with their family and change the direction of health and wellness for their family, like that's important shit.
All right, I'll do the podcast.
So that's how we started the podcast. Many arguments, and actually our first 2 episodes,
We scrapped.
We totally scrapped them because I don't even know. I can't remember exactly why. I think
They
we
were
said,
horrible.
Yeah.
No, because I listened to them back and I was like, I am a nasty bitch. I'm so nasty. And I was like coming across so mean.
Aggressive.
And aggressive. And I was like, that's not me. Is that me? That was me.
Mm-hmm.
And
I was really, really quiet. So this was our dynamic of like the first couple episodes that no one will ever hear.
Thank God.
Was, Rachel
Aggressive
was
Rachel.
a little aggressive, and I
lot.
was like really quiet and
Timid.
and very timid. Like the things that I said was like, well. So our first week that we ended up releasing our first episode, we were top 40 in the health and wellness category for podcasts, and so we released our first 2 episodes, because I think we put them both out at the same time. We were like, oh my god, we're in the
what
top
was that,
40.
the scale episode?
I think
Was
it
it
was. I think it was the scale episode.
I think it was why you
scale.
have to throw out your scale.
Yeah, which was
Immediately.
definitely an aggressive way to start the main metric for health and fitness. We're like, we're gonna start by tearing that out. And then we had a ton of listens in our first week or 2 weeks,
Which made me 10 times more
Mark,
anxious.
yeah. So Mark was like, hey guys, like you have a ton of listens. Ben sent us. You guys are in the top 40
I
of
was
health
like,
and wellness.
No.
And like everyone was like celebrating this thing, and both me and Rachel were like, we like clammed up. We were like, maybe. And then Mark went into the office and was like, stop telling them like anything. Just let them think that they're in this like bubble and they're just recording.
I
and
was
just
just
a few
hoping there'd be
friends are
2
listening.
listens, like one from me and one from you.
Yeah,
That's what I was
and
hoping.
maybe mom.
Maybe mom would listen.
Yeah. So since then, we've asked them not to tell us.
I don't
the
give the
exact
stats on how many listens per week because it makes me like so anxious. I just like stay up at night over it, so I just like stopped.
I do know, for those who do want to know.
No.
That they told Rachel won't listen, but for
Put earmuffs.
those who want to know, we have now I think 10,000 listeners with our podcast, which we don't let come into. We just think it's like us and a couple friends, and that's who we're talking to with our podcast.
Are you done saying it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to know. But I was like super worried about offending people in the beginning. I remember censoring myself a really lot in the beginning, just being very, very worried about how people would take my message and if they would get offended and if the things that I was saying would hurt people's feelings. And I really tiptoed around that in the beginning. Is like a lot of my opinions, I held back a lot on them. But now I feel that as we've done more episodes and we've gotten a little bit more feedback from people, that it's okay to have a stance on something, and not everyone's going to agree with you, and that's totally fine.